welcome everyone. Today we have our another new episode. This is our 404 episode, and we have very special show today. We will discuss on Transhumanist Coin. Actually, from Asia Pacific, many organization, academy, government body, as well as corporation, they ask me why I join in Transhumanist Party, because Transhumanist Party has a very transparent process. They believe in science, engineering, and technology. I'm from developing nations. Developing nations need more scientific involvement. So that's why I believe that Transhumanist Party is one of the party. They have very transparent process. And beside that, this is the first time World Talent Economy Forum. Yes, we discuss on blockchain technology. We introducing this Transhumanist Coin because as Transhumanist Party has a very transparent procedure. When I saw their white paper, I find they have excellent procedure. They have a very good team. So that's why World Talent Economy Forum, first time we introduce Transhumanist Coin, as well as they focusing on research and developments. We have also the same visions. We need to uh, engage with research and development. So I want to start from Mr. Ramon. So how you want to analyze to this topic?
The Transhuman Coin project that started, I think, like 2 months ago, and I joined the team on the scientific advisory board, and mostly to give them a lot of insight from the American perspective. And I think I've done a good job giving them that insight and giving them input on how to, steer the project. Cryptocurrency in general is sort of growing. It's grown a lot. A lot of major institutions have adopted it, and that's one thing to notice is that when the big institutions have adopted it, the governments aren't going to crack down on it. It's here to stay in one way or another. The huge banks, they're going to have to adapt and start becoming like have custodial accounts for other users, who normally just have their bank for depositing their checks. So yeah, there's definitely a big change. It's here to stay, and Transhuman Coin wants to be part of that crypto future.
Excellent. Mr. Peter, uh, how you want to analyze this topic, and beside that, if you share your white paper with our audience, as well as if you share some important aspect why you want to engage with research and developments, how you want to this coin can help this research and development thing, it will be helpful for our audience.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for having us, Sharif. And thank you for having the audience for Transhuman Coin. And thanks, Art, for setting it out for the US colleagues as well. Transhuman Coin is a token dedicated to the transhumanism movement. So, when you talk about transhumanist parties all around the world, whether it's in the US, the UK, and in Africa, now we've got many nations that are coming with this transhumanist community, they can now rally behind this economic incentive behind Transhuman Coin. And so we actually have a dedicated transhuman fund wallet that assigns and allocates to donations and projects in transhumanism, whether it's life extension, whether it's increasing our intelligence through brain-computer interfaces, to well-being, so that no one's left behind in this transhumanism movement. So this is an economic means for the transhumanism movement and everyone that's part of this movement to rally behind and actually have a financial way to push where those projects should be. And so you're really excited to be part of this project. I joined about a couple of months ago, similar to Ramon. We think we saw Dr. Toller pop up just then as well. He's a part of the scientific advisory board as well. Really looking forward to telling you more about cryptocurrencies, but also in that sense of how that can help accelerate the transhumanism movement.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mr. Ramon, actually, when we're discussing about this transhumanist coin, if you share some views about transhumanist party, especially World Talent Economy Forum, we are engaging with millions of people in grassroots level, and even different governments, as well as different corporation, they also joining, and they are also collaborating with World Talent Economy Forum. And everybody know we are also believe in this transhumanist concept. But for our audience, if you share your views, your opinions, especially transhumanist philosophy, and how this coin actually help to enhance this kind of activities. It will be important for our audience. Side by side, our policymaker also learn new things.
No, the Transhumanist Party, it's a political organization here in the U.S., but we have a lot of outreach globally. So we're out there trying to advocate for transhumanism and teach people transhumanism. And one of the things we do is we have our ideals and or charter that we've let people know, like you, who've translated it and put it out there in your part of the world. So it's a lot of advocacy and outreach. And Transhuman Coin, it's a separate project. It's not part of the Transhumanist Party, but I am the visual arts director of the Transhumanist Party. So I've adopted the currency and have joined the team. And it's what the coin itself is trying to do, and part of that is to donate to companies that are doing transhumanist research. So and help them. So if these companies and organizations that are doing research into transhumanism, if they do better, well, we do better because we're going to benefit from that research.
Thanks for pulling up the website as well, Sharif.
Yes,
you can see
yes,
we got some
yes.
AI as well to help answer any of your questions. That actually goes directly to our admin. So Jenny from admin can help answer you any of the questions there. So if you pop in the chat, say hello. But yeah, like from the website, you can sort of see how Transhuman Coin works. So the way that we generate more funds into the Transhuman Fund wallet is that every transaction, whether it's a buy, a sell, or a transfer, 2% of that transaction goes towards the holders of Transhuman Coin, including the Transhuman Fund wallet. So that's a wallet that's dedicated to donations to charities. You can see there's our partners. Yeah, that's the tokenomics there. And so another 2%, Sharif, goes to the liquidity pool. So I'm not sure if you know how this sort of cryptocurrencies work. You need liquidity when you want to buy and sell cryptocurrencies in and out. So this liquidity pool provides you that liquidity in order to trade and swap. And the way you do it is you swap Binance Coin on the Pancake Swap marketplace. So this is essentially a decentralized finance platform. So Sharif, I'm not sure if how familiar you are with some of these sort of new decentralized finance platforms, given this sort of first foray into crypto.
Yes. Thank you. I have the question, like example, as research funding and charity funding is one of the important aspect of social development, and I like as my target audience and my audience from grassroots level people, uh, they can be from the kampung, like remote area in Malaysia. They can be from remote area in India, or example Indonesia, or example Bangladesh or Pakistan. So in that situation, how they can utilize this transhumanist coin for their research and charity related organizations. So Mr. Art Ramon, and then I will ask the same thing Mr. Peter, Mr. Ramon.
Yeah, well, I remember when we had a conversation earlier. You said a lot of those people haven't adopted cryptocurrency in general, so it's going to be an education process to tell them that that's an option. You could invest your money, keep it in the bank where it's barely making any interest. You can invest in stocks. There's stocks available in every country, and you can invest some of it in cryptocurrency. So, and part of what we want to do is say, employers in these countries, they can buy transhuman coin and give it out as bonuses to their employees, and that would be part of, advocacy and spreading the word transhumanism. So it can be used in many ways, part investment and part for advocacy and education.
Yeah, and Sharif, for example, you see a lot of countries around the world now experiencing hyperinflation. For example, in Nigeria, it's 16% inflation, and that's relatively low, compared to some of those other countries that are actually in trouble. And we're seeing this adoption of cryptocurrency as a way to maintain the same level of buying purchasing power. And, it started with Bitcoin. So in terms of educating on cryptocurrencies, I think Sharif might have frozen there. In terms of starting with cryptocurrencies, always just dive straight in, buy some Bitcoin, and then you'll find out more about Ethereum, which is the sort of smart version of Bitcoin, which we have smart contracts and you're able to do decentralized finance. And then next after that is something like Binance Coin, which is a relatively low transaction fee version of Ethereum, and sacrifices some decentralization, but it allows you to do a lot of the same things you can do on Ethereum. So Binance Smart Chain is how Transhuman Coin essentially arose. It's built on the Binance Smart Chain. But yeah, like I was saying, you could just get started by buying some Bitcoin. I think in Malaysia, there's a lot of these crypto exchanges as well that's popping up because of sort of booming economy in cryptocurrencies. That's always a good place to start because they're centralized. It's just kind of like a service that you onboard with your, know your customer, prove your identity, and then they set up an account for you and you can deposit some money in. You can make that purchase of Bitcoin and other currencies. So we're actually listed on a centralized exchange called Coinsbit. And it's one way to do it. You can just buy it from a centralized exchange. But the real beauty of cryptocurrencies is when everything becomes decentralized. So PancakeSwap is an example of a decentralized exchange. And it's just you're seeing countries create their own cryptocurrencies. Like China's got their digital yuan, and they want to be able to work with other countries to interoperate between their central bank digital currency and potentially something from the Philippines or something from Nigeria's new central bank digital currency called the e-Naira that's just come out. So that interoperability between these government issued cryptocurrencies that's essentially treated as fiat, the new versions of fiat, that's going to be an on-ramp to these current cryptocurrencies that we've been talking about around Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. Even though China's banned it, that's sort of the interoperability between the central bank digital currency and a cryptocurrency that we've heard of before. That's still going to happen. So it's going to be interesting, especially with companies like Facebook and Square and Twitter all creating these wallets that'll accept cryptocurrencies. I think anyone in finance that hasn't been diving into cryptocurrencies right now could potentially be those that haven't really tried the internet, back in the 90s. They're going to find it hard to compete as this e-commerce type boom in this Web 3.0 is happening right before their eyes. No, I think Sharif is no, he's still good.
Yes. 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 Mr. Ramon, specifically we previously arranged session on blockchain. Some of our experts from around the world, they said crypto is not asset. What is your analysis? This transhumanist coin, how it will be valuable asset for people?
Well, I compared to just stocks, and I've bought many stocks, buy and sell, and sure, there's a company behind it making a product or service, but to me, it's just a stock. I buy it when it's low and I sell it when it's high, and to me, I just don't really care what the company is, and it's that's how I do my investing. I'm not sure how anyone else does, but
buy low, sell high.
Pretty much. You buy an asset that you believe is going to keep value. If I buy stocks in Ford, I had Ford stocks for a while, and it keeps its value. Sure, they make cars. You're saying that they're not the same as a cryptocurrency that doesn't offer that service or product, but it's when you put your money in a store of value, that's really all that matters. It doesn't matter if it's gold or a digital currency. If people are putting their money there for storage, it has value. So, and it's great to diversify. Not saying put your entire savings in cryptocurrency, but definitely have cryptocurrency as one of your areas of diversification. Have it in stocks, have it in cryptocurrency, have it in precious metal, wherever you want to diversify. So that's what I would say to people is diversify and make sure cryptocurrency is part of your portfolio.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point. And hopefully you can buy some of
Yeah.
the Tesla as well, right? As well, just spread diversifying the car companies that you got in your holdings. But in terms of cryptocurrencies, for example, Bitcoin. I mean, ultimately, it's not technically backed by anything, right? That's why people say cryptocurrency, it's not worth anything. But at the same time, think about fiat currency, government issued currency. That's not backed by anything either. Ever since they decoupled the store of value compared to peg to the US dollar, for example, to gold, they've decoupled that entirely, and now it's purely being issued and printed by the government. And so that's not backed by anything but our faith and also the military and the infrastructure around governments, right? With Bitcoin, the infrastructure is the miners, these proof of work mining machines that essentially validate, what happens on the blockchain behind Bitcoin. So that infrastructure is really the true value of the Bitcoin blockchain and the network effect it's had in terms of the scarcity of 21 million Bitcoins. And you can apply the same sort of approach to Transhuman Coin because we have only 7 billion maximum supply of Transhuman Coin. So there is a limit in terms of how much Transhuman Coin there is out there. And the infrastructure, we think, is the transhumanism community. Our movement essentially driving positive acceleration in science and technology investments in terms of donations to charities that support this movement. All of this, our community is the infrastructure for which the valuation of transhuman coin should be pitted on. And as we get more transhumanist leaders, we have Natasha Biedermore joining us tomorrow, essentially on our scientific advisory board. We have David Wood from Transhumanist Party UK and London Futurists. So the Humanity Plus, the Mormon transhumanists as well, Lincoln Cannon, they're all sort of rallying behind this transhuman coin, Lifespan.io, and the guys at Force Beagle and all those guys that are a part of the board. We're essentially putting all the transhumanist organizations under one economic interest banner. And together, I think that collaboration, that network effect is pretty much what supports that value of transhuman coin. And we're seeing it accelerating recently as well.
Thank you. One thing, like when actually, let's say China banned cryptocurrency, on the other hand, other countries, even Malaysia or other developing nations, still they do not accept this cryptocurrency. Transhumanist Party is an advocate of modern science, engineering, and technology. So, how you want to be advocate for cryptocurrency or transhumanist coin, Mr. Ramon?
Well, as far as the banning, it's not going to happen in the U.S. We've already got major companies that are exchanges. The government doesn't want to ban anything that they can tax, and that's what they're going to do. They consider it cryptocurrency an asset, and you better pay your taxes, or they will come after you. They've gotten software contract with Coinbase, the NSA, so they're going to find if you're not paying your taxes. So the government, I'm not sure why China banned the cryptocurrencies. Maybe they wanted more control over their digital yen, or yuan, whatever it's called. But here in the U.S., it's not going to happen. No one's going to ban squat because they want to tax it. Anything they could tax, they want available. So, but they do want a measure of control. So they want to know if you're paying your taxes or not. So yeah, that's what I would say. It's going to be adopted little by little. You have companies like MasterCard or Visa, for which one, but they're accepting it. Yeah, they're accepting it. So mainstream adoption is coming. It's going to alter crypto a bit once it's mainstream adopted. But yeah, it's I say diversify. That's what I say. If you don't have no cryptocurrency, if you have no exposure to cryptocurrency, start learning about it and diversify a little bit into it.
Yeah, it's good insurance policy against, you're hedging against any issues with the government as well. But, the China ban itself, they've been banning this for the past decade, right? Ever since it started, and I think it's the 12th time that they've banned it in China. But at the same time, people are still trading it, right? Just there are ramifications now. They've sort of put in print in terms of the implications of trading. You've seen the Bitcoin miners move out of China, but they've really just been a plus for North America. Like Ramon was saying, it's actually a benefit for the Western world as a result. But with a VPN, the nature of decentralizing, currencies, with a VPN, you can just get around that because you can still trade and find a way to do decentralized finance as well. So you don't need an intermediary like it used to be in the past. So, for example, the US was able to ban, say, transactions to any nation if they wanted to through the SWIFT network. They could actually have that influence to stop trade. And that was the New World Order after the World War II, right? So that was essentially facilitators, since the Marshall Plan of currencies all around the world. The US dollar was the dominant sort of player. And now we're seeing Bitcoin being a challenger to that, and yet the US has continued to accept that, right? But China sees it a different view. They want their central bank digital currencies to be, the token that is transacting to the Belt and Road Initiative. And so, we're seeing that that's why they're challenging it, that you can't stop it. The genie is out of the bottle, and its decentralized nature of it means that it'll continue to go on indefinitely. So, and there are going to be more versions of Bitcoin as we see it in CoinMarketCap and the listings that we see now.
Excellent. Now I want to focus on research and charity. So how actually different research organizations they can get involved with this transhumanist coin, they get more benefit, and what will be the future? What do you think? Let's say what will happen next 3 to 5 years with this transhumanist coin, Mr. Ramon?
Yeah, what we're trying to do is get some of these organizations to hold Bitcoin. Transhumanist coin, and it's going to go up in value. So right now the value is low starting out. Eventually it's going to go up, and they'll be able to either liquidate or use it to pay for services or whatever they want to do. It's their choice. They can borrow against it, but eventually it's going to come out to a good sum what we're donating now as the value increases. So that's the benefit to them. Is they're going to get that donation, which increases in value. Whereas if you were to donate in dollars, well, if you donate $50 to somebody, it's going to be, $48 in 10 years. It's going to go down in value. Whereas cryptocurrency, especially transhuman coin, we expect the value to go up. So that's the benefit to them. Is we're donating a small amount, but it's going to grow in value.
Excellent. Mr. Peter.
Yeah, and holding transhuman coin shows that you are a supporter of the transhumanism movement. So it's a balance sheet play. It's a store of value. As the price of transhuman coin goes up, it grows your assets on your balance sheet, which you can, like Art was saying, you can borrow against. You can use that to increase your market value, which means that you can make acquisitions of other companies. So all of that, essentially the revaluation of your organization through the process. So we support long-term holdings. So with our donations, we review it every 12 months. So that way, the longer you hold, we will make an equal donation 12 months afterwards or more. And that's essentially depending on how much more we can get from the Transhuman Fund wallet through the scientific advisory board that approves these decisions by vetting a series of processes, supporting the transhumanism movement and make sure it's commercially viable, and research is also valid from a scientific perspective. So so all this sort of supports that long-term holding. We want to expand it to organizations, not just startups and charities, eventually listed companies as well. We're seeing Tesla holding Bitcoin to support this sort of hedge against inflation and also future of currencies as well. We want Tesla and SpaceX to hold transhuman coin because ultimately Elon Musk, being the Neuralink, CEO, essentially all his projects are trying to help humanity preserve the live consciousness. And so, the transhuman movement will see growth along the way as well. Right now it's sort of still emerging. After all these years, we still think, transhumanism is still not in the mainstream. But we're seeing, things like the metaverse and, cryptocurrencies and, life extension and brain-computer interfaces all starting to happen. So I think this is probably the best time to be in transhumanism right now. And it's probably the best time to buy transhuman coin because we are the meme that is essentially going to be pervading all of humanity over the next 10 years. So it's a really exciting time to be alive as well.
Excellent. Mr. Ramon, when we're discussing about futures, yes, definitely there are many transhumanists around the world. They are doing research, they are working, they are changing their society. So I just want to know some information like how many people right now they are involving with this transhumanist party, transhumanist coin side by side. How many countries people actually involved with that?
Yeah, I only know of one organization. I don't know the entire thing. I think that's more a question Peter could answer.
Yeah, we got about, say, in the scientific advisory board, we have about 10 people right now in the scientific advisory board. That's developers. We have 4 developers. So, these are sort of smaller teams, relatively starting out. But it's really key to have that sort of strong scientific advisory board to guide us on where the donations go. So, yeah, that's essentially growing as well. So myself, Charles, and Elise were part of the management team. We've got Dr. Avinash Singh, chair of our scientific advisory board. Avinash, he wasn't feeling well, so he sent his apologies, but he's doing brain-computer interface research at the University of Technology in Sydney. And he's just recently won an award from Google TensorFlow on setting the brain-computer interface standard in terms of how you can actually put in those brainwaves and measurements in terms of those signals. So, yeah, it's part of the IEEE work that he's doing. So, really strong team. Natasha's going to be joining, and, David Wood as well. So, I think we're in a really good place, and it's all about then collaborating with all the other transhumanist organizations on these initiatives.
Excellent. Especially in the transhumanist party, there are many many youth, highly talented people they involved with transhumanist party. Uh, as well as I saw even in this transhumanist coin, many young talented startup owners, those who developing startup, those who providing solution, they have a keen interest about uh, this transhumanist coin. So how you gonna convince the traditional approach that this kind of coins actually really important for scientific developments or investings or this kind of things? What is your strategy?
Now, basically, I tell them about the benefits of diversification. So, whether they're already invested in cryptocurrency or not, if they're not, it's an education process. I've had to walk some people through creating a wallet and give them the basic idea of how cryptocurrency works, and help the fellow transhumanist the other day set up his wallet and purchase some THC, which is transhuman coin. So part of it is me helping others, and this other transhumanist, he had other coins, other cryptocurrencies like Shiba Inu and Bitcoin, and now he has some THC. So that's great. He's diversified. So uh, the good thing is that you diversify your portfolio. Cryptocurrency is one part of it, but you should also diversify the types of cryptocurrencies you have. So uh, get transhuman coin, but also have a little bit Bitcoin and Ethereum, and diversify. That's what I would suggest to a lot of transhumans who want to get into this.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
mr
Yeah, so
mr Peter.
we're seeing hedge funds and managed funds. They're thinking of it as a portfolio view. Traditionally they would set aside say 40% shares, 40% property, 10% bonds, 10% cash. That sort of ratio. Well, now the new asset class is cryptocurrencies. So I think they're starting to look at it between 2 to 10% of their total net value set aside for cryptocurrencies. And so you can think about in terms of the entire assets under management, right, globally in the finance sector, right, superannuation funds, all of that. As they start to adopt this position, the current 3 trillion market cap of all cryptocurrencies that's listed, that is not even a slight percentage of where it could be. So I think there's going to be a massive opportunity, a growth opportunity in cryptocurrencies, but also in terms of what Art is saying, the diversification into alternative coins rather than just Bitcoin, Ethereum, to Binance Coin and to Transhuman Coin, because ultimately it's going to be what sort of things do you support individually? What motivates you? In terms of things like environmental, social governance, Binance Smart Chain is great, the way to do it, because we're not a proof of work type network, right? It's not mining, using, wasting energy to do it. It's through that proof of stake authority from Binance Smart Chain. And Transhuman Coin really is supporting science and technology, because we're actually making donations to those projects in life extension, into brain computer interfaces, into well-being. So yeah, what is it that you stand for? If it's ESG and if it's for transhumanism, then yeah, Transhuman Coin is where to go.
Excellent. Yes, World Talent Economy Forum, actually, we have many research projects. We are engaging with different kind of research based on developing nations' priority. So definitely we're going to utilize these transhumanist coins for our work. Some questions, actually, naturally, our audience love to learn. I just want to ask some basic question, like, beyond a method for payment, what are the other function of cryptocurrencies or your transhumanist coin, Mr. Ramon?
Well, you could definitely use it to transfer money. So if, say, you have people in a developing nation, you were to teach them how to get on the Binance chain and purchase any cryptocurrency, and then you can transfer it, avoiding a lot of the fees. So I know there's a ton of fees when you move money around, and I know with here in the U.S., ACH is just extremely slow. It takes 3 days to move money around, and the bank just puts up so many restrictions. So that would be one thing to do, is help these developing nations and people there, is to use it to move money around. And the companies that are currently entrenched in doing that, of course they're going to oppose it, and put up restrictions any way they can, working with the banks. But eventually the banks are going to catch on that cryptocurrency isn't going away. They're going to have to adopt it. They're going to have to help their bank customers even get their own wallets and have some sort of custodial service. So the transfer of funds is a big one, because right now it's entirely too slow and too many fees. And with cryptocurrency, certain blockchains, the fees are just very minimal. And that's besides the store of value of holding the cryptocurrency. So store of value and a means of transferring that value to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some amazing breakthroughs, right? So Bitcoin, for example, with the Lightning Network, so the layer 2 solution to Bitcoin, that's already available on Twitter. So you can actually send people money that's faster, pretty much for negligible fees, and pretty much a better user experience, because all you need is a Twitter account. You don't need a bank account, and that's actually banking all the people that currently are debanked or underbanked all around the world. And so can you imagine just a Twitter account being your bank account? So definitely payments in terms of cryptocurrency, which you can also do with Transhuman Coin as well on the Binance Smart Chain, which is cheaper, lower fees, and also the decentralized finance. So you might have heard of the term staking. So with cryptocurrencies, you can stake it to actually help this proof of stake network to help people validate the transactions that occur. So with Transhuman Coin, we actually automate the staking mechanism by just holding it, because every transaction, essentially 2% of that goes to existing holders. That's almost like an automated staking. And on centralized exchanges like CoinsBit, you can then stake that for even more as well. So you can stake and also receive that sort of the 2% as well for the ones that you just hold in your wallet. The third part is NFTs. So you might have heard of these non-fungible tokens. You can actually create NFTs, not just for art, but for any sort of things that you want to validate on a smart contract, because it's non-fungible, as in there is sort of, for example, one of one, or one of 100, one of X, right? But it could be in the form of IP. It could be in the form of essentially these designs for your business models and things like that. we want essentially to start with the artworks. So we're actually having an NFT collection that's going to be dropping very shortly. We'll be announcing it, looking at this weekend. And that's going to be 500 collections of transhumanist artwork that's going to be launched. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to sharing the link with you as well. And it's going to be a future vision of transhumanism around space, around intelligence, our light of consciousness that's going to spread throughout the universe, and then try to bring transhumanism to the mainstream through this artwork. And so NFTs is a utility you've seen. You can use these NFTs as conference passes, for example, to show that you have own this NFT, and that gives you access to certain events and part of these communities and things like that. So it's like a digital identity. And finally, as part of your business models, you could be looking at NFTs as unique collectibles and artwork and music and business models. So we're seeing every company, I think, going to be a tokenized version of not just shares, but come up together as well with a utility token, as well as NFTs around their underlying IP. So I think that's where the future business models are heading, and that's how the Transhuman Coin will fund companies to do that as well, by essentially trading as a DAO through their Transhuman Coins for their tokens. A lot of terms, lots of things to learn, Sharif, but I haven't even started with the DAOs, right? So I'll just throw that in there just to make things interesting. But hopefully we can explore that later.
Yes, definitely. It will be really helpful for our audience, because we share our content with many academy, even university grant commissions, even more than 75 universities actually partner of World Talent Economy Forum. So we are sharing our content. So the more you share your knowledge with World Talent Economy Forum, I'm sure especially developing nations, student, the youth communities, and the policymakers and the corporate person, they learn more from our discussions. So there are some other basic questions. Are blockchain and cryptocurrencies the same? How you want to describe these things? And beside that, always we have a question like, help me with the lingo, crypto, coin, token, ICO. So Mr. Ramon.
Well, the blockchains are the computer networks that are running the software that support a cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin was the first one. So you have what they call the miners. They host the program on their computer, and that keeps that distributed ledger across many computers. Okay, that's running one software. Okay, then there's Ethereum. That's a different software, and that is also run by miners who have it distributed across a network across the entire planet. So the blockchain refers to the software that supports that system, the blockchain. And Ethereum, I think, was the first one that was able to create additional cryptocurrencies on top of the Ethereum. So that's a little different than the actual root blockchain. So like Transhuman Coin, that's on top of the Binance Smart Chain blockchain. So that's a different one. So when you go and buy some cryptocurrency at an exchange, right now we're only listed at one. But let's say you have an account on Binance Smart Chain, you would have to, first take your fiat there, which is some sort of credit card transaction or an ACH transaction. And then once that money is there at, say, Binance.us, it could take, they'll put a hold on it for like 3 days. And then you can still purchase cryptocurrency, but you can't move it out of Binance. That's one restriction they do have. But you put your fiat there, you would buy a coin like the Binance, the BNB, which is the base cryptocurrency for the Binance Smart Chain, and that you can swap for THC on PancakeSwap. So you have to see, I'd say for a beginner, the best way is to create an account on Binance.com. And if you're in the US, Binance.us, because they have a restriction here, and create an account there and fund it with a little bit of money and just become familiar with the process. And, take your money with ACH or a credit card and buy a little bit of whatever cryptocurrency that you would like to experiment with and go from there.
Mr. Peter, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really good explanation. Yeah, the blockchain being the software and the crypto being the asset, I guess, or the token utility version of that software. So, if you think of an analogy, maybe in terms of the ones that are under proof of stake, it's a rather than a wave, which is the blockchain, it's a particle in the science, right? So the particle and wave duality. Yeah, when you actually identify that particle, that could be the crypto itself, and the wave, the medium for which it does it, is the blockchain. Yeah, and I think as people just do it, I think the best way to learn is actually doing it. So yeah, like Ramon's saying, go in a Binance, get some Binance coin. Once you know how to buy Binance coin, buy and sell, that's a good start. And then you can experiment with decentralized finance. So you can transfer your Binance coin to a wallet, a hot wallet, say for example MetaMask or Trust wallet. These are the things that in your browser you can actually have a little add-on. So you transfer from your crypto exchange that you're working with, say Binance.us, you transfer it to your MetaMask, and once it's in MetaMask, you can then go on to these decentralized finance locations like Binance Pancake Swap.
That's great. Mr. Ramon, like definitely Transhumanist Coin is a visionary project. Definitely you have a great team and great scientific teams and excellent strategy. Uh, so especially when we do research and work with the developing nations, they have different aspects. Let's say World Talent Economy Forum, we develop startup village concept. We do not move with smart city, we better move with livable city, we move with uh, smart village concept, because developing nations has different visions, different worlds, and different demand. Maybe USA has different, Malaysia has different, Australia has different. In that situations, how this uh, like transhumanist coin actually help to grow research and charity level donation, especially if I have a project, let's say startup village, so
Mhm.
how it will be helpful for my projects, and I can ensure more than 10 million peoples from developing nations, the governments and the policymakers and the corporation, NGO, they involved with this ecosystem. So how does it will be helpful for my developing nations people?
Well, if these organizations would become familiar with cryptocurrency, they can accept donations themselves of cryptocurrency. So right now, it's easier for some people who have a lot of cryptocurrency to move money around with it. So I would say these organizations, if they don't use cryptocurrency, they become familiar with cryptocurrency, so they could set up their wallet, and then they could work with getting donations in cryptocurrency. That's what I would suggest for them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mr. Peter. Mhm.
Yeah, and one of the other use cases of cryptocurrency is a means of exchange. So, if once they accept donations in cryptocurrency, they can actually spend that as long as other people would accept that. So, the more that people accept transhuman coin, the more goods and services they can transfer as a means of exchange. And so this way, they don't even need to convert back to any other currency. They don't need to convert back to their fiat local currency. They don't need to convert it to some other cryptocurrency. They could just spend transhuman coin with someone else that accepts transhuman coin. And this is what we're trying to achieve when 7 billion people all around the world has transhuman coin and accepts it. That's essentially the new currency, like what's happening with Bitcoin.
Mhm. Mhm. There are many cryptocurrencies around the world. How you differentiate your transhumanist coin? Like, what is the different approaches you have, and other cryptocurrency do not have?
Yeah, we are the only token dedicated to the transhumanism movement, and only we are the ones that are dedicated to ensuring the funding of these long term scientific projects for the transhumanist movement. So, whether it's life extension, whether it's brain computer interfaces, whether it's well being. So, it's starting out with the current transhumanist organizations like TPUS, like TPUK, because we want to ensure there is a political system at least there that's challenging the status quo, so that we can treat the aging process as a disease, as a policy. Essentially those sort of policies need to be embedded in place. And then there's organizations like lifespan.io that are already crowdsourcing projects for life extension. So giving them that donation allows them to further grow their balance sheet and revisit every 12 months to increase that donation as well. So you were saying, as part of the transhumanist movement, this is the first transhuman token, right, dedicated to the movement, and ensures that we can actually collaborate across all of the transhumanist organizations around the world behind one single economic banner. So that's really the real differentiator.
Mhm. Thank you, Mr. Ramon. One of the basic things I want to ask, because I has to face this question many times. Many people, especially from developing nations, they believe transhumanist a religion. I want to say no, it's more on science, engineering, and technology. So how you want to share the transhumanist philosophy with our audience?
Well, yeah, it's a philosophy that you're going to support technology and become an adopter. Okay. And that technology is going to go in a direction that is going to enhance humanity, because, it's not just going to be a heart replacement. I know they've used like pig valves for heart replacement, but that's another step forward. People like in an Amish community are going to reject that technology, and they're going to live back in the 18th century. So there are going to be changes in the future that would change humanity, and a transhuman is going to be accepting of those changes, whereas you're going to have some conservative people who are going to reject those changes. And then you might have a split between humanity where you have people who don't want to evolve, and that's fine. That's their choice. No one's going to force anybody to evolve. But if the technology is there and you have the capability of evolving beyond just human, we want that as a choice.
Mhm. Mr. Peter, you are also managing Transhumanist Party in Australia. If you share your views, what's happening in Australia and other part of the world?
Yeah. Australia's still slow going with transhumanism, but we've got the Science Party, which is at least a political party dedicated to science, evidence-based policies. Our goal is to double the science budget for the government each year. And we have a dedicated policy for transhumanism, which is treating the aging process as a disease, because unless you consider it as the aging process as a disease, the drugs won't be essentially approved or recognized, right, by the local FDA equivalents everywhere. So in Australia, it's the Therapeutic Goods and Association here, TGA. And that way, people don't have an incentive to develop these drugs to treat the aging process, because they know if you don't get that approval recognition, you can't commercialize it. And so, it's really paramount that we actually have government recognize that the aging process is a treatable disease in itself, which leads to all the other age-related diseases that essentially cause people to pass away unnecessarily.
Mhm. Excellent. Mr. Ramon, Transhumanist Party, they are also advocate for uh, these life extension projects,
Mhm.
and Transhumanist Coins also, I think you also they invest in research, especially life extension. Even the COVID-19 situation, even before COVID-19 situation, we know the healthcare system, especially there are a lot of corruption in developing nations, as well as we need to reduce these corruptions. Even the COVID-19 situation, we saw many people die because of this like lack of system. And how actually your transhumanist coin helpful for this healthcare system research, and how the different governments and the NGO and the corporation, they need to involve with this research, especially through this transhumanist coin. If you have better research like strategy, or better plan for next 5 years, if you share, I'm sure it will be helpful for many organization.
Well, if those organizations were forced to use cryptocurrency, things would be very transparent, because everything would be trackable on the blockchain, which anyone can look at. So that would be one way of eliminating corruption, but they would have to be forced to use it exclusively because right now they don't. So, uh, yeah, going forward, it's more, I'd say, an adoption of cryptocurrency or the blockchain technology when with the government with their own fiat money. That would be a way to kind of root out corruption. And once you root out corruption, that's money that's being misspent that you can use for actual research. So yeah, and with life extension, it's life extension is health extension. It's growing even if you didn't grow beyond 125 years. I think that's the maximum they say. So even if you didn't get beyond 125 years, well, it'd be great if you were healthy the entire 125 years, not suffering from Parkinson's and other age-related diseases. So yeah, any opposition to life extension, I mean, it's health. It's health and vitality. I mean, who wants to just decline and become decrepit? If you can actually extend your healthy lifespan up to 125 years.
Mr. Peter.
Yeah, and the brilliance of cryptocurrency is that everything is transparent. It's recorded on the blockchain. So we're on the Binance Smart Chain, you can go to BSC scan to see every transaction in Transhuman Coin, and you can see the wallet addresses that have been transferred between. You can actually identify them. So it's really easy to actually see where those wallet addresses go to if you want to crack down on corruption. Because if they wanted to get that back into fiat money, they have to go through an exchange, and that exchange does the know your customer, right? So they know your identity once you go off chain, and so everything in between is all transparent. Once you go off chain, you're identified, right? So this is why scammers in the world and those guys that did that cybersecurity hack around oil pipelines and the FBI found them. They were able to track when they finally went to an actual centralized exchange to try to convert it back into actual dollars, and that's when they were caught. So corruption eliminated. It's like in a world of perfect information, nothing can be hidden in the dark when it's on the blockchain. It's just the brilliance of it.
Yes, even traditional banking system has many challenges, many problems. So hopefully through utilizing this blockchain technology, maybe we can overcome many challenges. So thank you everyone. This is really great sessions, especially for World Talent Economy Forum. I request all of our audience, please share our content with your government, with your corporation, and with your academy. And I just want to ensure that next 1 year for World Talent Economy Forum, lot of excitement actually waiting for us. We are engaging with different countries, governments, as well as largest corporations, and even academy. They're welcoming World Talent Economy Forum. Definitely many people has questions why I'm taking responsibility of this Transhumanist Party, because from my personal experience, how I involve with thousands of organizations, I find Transhumanist Party have transparent process, uh, they have honesty, they add value for the society. That's why I believe that if I join and we collaborate, we may learn many things and we can help our communities, because developing nations has a lot of challenges, lot of problems, and they need lot of solutions. So we have to engage with the scientific committee, scientific organizations, and Transhumanist Party is one of the party those who can help the global community. That's why when we engaging with this governments, even some point some prime minister office, some largest corporation, always we advocate for transhumanism, because transhumanism is a modern concept where we can attract the talent people. I'm from a political background. I saw that many talent people right now, they are they do not want to engage with uh, uh, this political system. But I believe that if they saw the transhumanist parties process, policy, and system, they will inspire to join this transhumanist party. So definitely that's why we arranged this special episode on transhumanist coin, because they have transparency, they have process, and they differentiate themselves through research and charitable organization, which is very important for our society. thank you, Mr. Ramon, and thank you, Mr. Peter. Then our audience, I request all of our audience share our content as much as possible. Hopefully, with our collaborations, we can solve many social problems. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's sessions. Bye bye and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharif.